and welcome to this week's Loose Links as we are set loose around the links for another Tuesday evening. Come and join us as we talk about this week, a man robbing a church on all days of Christmas Day. Find out our view on that. We also talk about quite a sensitive story about a little boy asking to go away with a man that he didn't know. And we finish on the story of how we are looking forward to coming out of lockdown. All that on this week's show. Joining me and keeping us loose this week is Claire Browning-May. The smiles of all smiles is Rachel Penny.
Hiya.
I wondered if you're coming on there, Rachel. And then the woman that's not afraid to say what she thinks is Georgina Craig.
Hi.
Hello, join us this week as we talk about a man stealing from a church on Christmas Day. It's the day of all days. What a day to steal from a church, Christmas Day. Do we worry about stories like this for our younger generation as it's becoming more and more? Also, we talk about a 12-year-old little boy that was asked to go with a man that he didn't even know. He also claimed that he knew the child's parents. Did he really? Find out what we think when we think about the safety of our children in the year 2021. And we finish on what we are looking forward to on coming out of lockdown. Yesterday, the new rules started. So find out our view on this week's show. All that and a lot more on this week's Loose Links. Claire, I'm going to start with you this week. This is 3 weeks running now. I'm getting a bit worried. I just think you're after my job.
I know. I think I'll have to go for a new wardrobe because I don't know what I'm wearing each week.
I think you're going to have to go for my job. And no, we need to thank Claire. She has stepped in last minute as somebody had to back down. So hopefully, in the nicest possible way, we won't see Claire next week. But,
Hey.
but joining us and keeping us company. So we're going to start with also Georgina, welcome back. It's been quite a long time since we've last had you on camera. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Have you been keeping well over lockdown?
Yes, yeah, keeping occupied. Plenty to do.
Good. And Rachel, it's been a couple of weeks since we've seen you. How's life been with you?
Oh, it's been hectic, but I survived. Just.
Good. And you're still here. That's the main thing. So, if you did watch last week, you saw a very different side to Claire Browning-May as we share our polls of this week. And I'm sorry, Claire, there are some people that agree with me. So we're going to start with the conversation. Did the Meghan and Harry interview change your views on the royal family or Meghan and Harry? 62% of you say, I still support the royal family. 22% of you said, it did not affect my views on either party. And 16% of you have said, I have more sympathy for Harry and Meghan now. So even though, as you could see, 4 different views, 4 different opinions on the show, and not everybody is all one-sided. Everybody's got a different view on this story. Also, we shared, do you think the COVID passport should be in place for travel in or out of the UK, allowing those that have had the vaccination? 100% of you said, yes, I feel safer knowing people who are travelling have been vaccinated. So the Loose Links viewers have spoken. It's 100%, guys. And then our third poll was a Grimsby woman who designed a bespoke clothing range for children with physical or mental disability. 95% of you have said It's a step forward to help children with physical or mental needs feeling more comfortable and confident. I say hear to that, 100%. So let's get on to this week's show. So this week's show, our first topic is a man jailed for Christmas raid at Grantham Church. So get ready to wave, everybody, as we talk about Grantham first. Good evening, Grantham. Let's see you wave, guys. Come on, don't be a bit boring. Wave at Grantham. A man jailed at Grantham stealing from a church on Christmas morning, breaking windows and making a mess before running away with the safe, cash, and also contained confidential information in the safe. So, panel, do you think all kinds of respect is just not there anymore? Do you feel we are not looking out for each other anymore, and we are just in a century that stands by me, myself, and I? What do we think?
Well, it's for Christmas Day. Honestly, it's a bit rich, isn't it? And what was it, about £15,000 worth of damage? It was, you know, if somebody's got a mental health issue or they are desperate, you wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't steal anyway. But there's reasons for people doing things like this, but to break a stained glass window and all that damage. That's not for survival. That's just for greed, and he deserved what he got. I think, quite honestly, there isn't any respect. But to do that on Christmas Day, of all days, as well, it's rough. It's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's absolutely disgusting, and they were only out for themselves. But again, was it mental health or was it? For drugs, you know, because people will go to all lengths to do things for drugs. They've got no respect for anything or anyone, because, like you say, Christmas Day, they're breaking those windows, which they do cost thousands, you know, plus paperwork that's got information on, which, you know, what could they do with that? That is just a total act of selfishness and greed for them. And yeah, jail is the best place. But then jail, I mean, come on, 3 hot meals a day and everything. So it's yeah, at least he's off the streets for now.
But I feel that respect has gone. In my generation, there is still plenty of respect, but in the youngsters, they don't give a monkey's for anybody else by themselves. And until they are taught to respect, crimes will increase and muggings will increase. Anything on that, on those lines, people don't care. When I was a child, we were taught if you walk down the street and there's a lady walking towards you, you move out the way. Nowadays, we don't be monkeys. But going back to his church, it is sad. But did he need the money? He didn't know what was in the safe. Did he have a family? We don't know the circumstances, do we?
Was he from the same community? Was he from the same community as the church? Did he live around where the church was? I don't know. I can't think he did or not. But if he did, it's his own community. That's even worse, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, though, I don't think we could categorise all younger people into.
No, you can't.
I can't say that all of younger people nowadays don't have no respect. I'm quite a young person. I'm not a young person. I'm 30 years old. I don't know if I've said that on the show before, but I am 30 years old, and I'm 31 this year. And I've never stealed from anybody. I still have respect of opening the doors and stuff like that. And if I'm completely honest, if we're talking about people behind bars, there's all generations behind bars, and that's not just down to the youngsters. It's not like we've just got the percentage of 18 to 25 are mostly in prison nowadays. There are a lot of older people that are making just as bad a crime as younger people. So I think that we have to take that into consideration as well. But when we're thinking about this, do we also see the parent as victims when their child has been a persecutor?
I think it starts with the parents because, you know, I try and instill into my children respect and manners cost nothing. So, you know, if I found out that, you know, one of mine had robbed a church, I would be absolutely mortified. You know, I know they're only quite young still now, but I think it does start from home, because you do see patterns in parents who have been to prison, I suppose, and then their children do. But again, we are in a different generation of drugs and things like that. So it is a different world.
So, Georgina, coming back to my original question then, do you think we are a community that look out for each other? Or do you think nowadays in the year of 2021, throughout all generations, we are just looking out for me, myself, and I?
I'd like to say we're all looking after each other, but personally, I've found I'm on my own, and the older generation have shown an interest in me, not so much the youngsters. Mind you, where I live is mainly older people, but I suppose on the whole, children aren't all that bad.
No. Rachel, do you think we're a generation of community, or do you think we're a generation of selfishness?
Well, no, I think with COVID has come along at a time when I think it's brought community back into the spirit where it came from, because nobody's had a choice really of doing anything else than look after the neighbours and go back to basics really. Yeah, I think community spirit has come back slightly, well, quite a lot actually.
Claire, do you think that's because of COVID? Do you think if we hadn't had COVID at all, we would still be in a generation of selfishness? And I'm not talking about generation, really. Sorry, that's the wrong word to use. Do you think we're in the year of 2021 of selfishness if we haven't had COVID?
Yes. And I think as, you know, everything starts to open up again, and that it'll be back to how it was with the selfishness. Because again, I just think that is a lot of the younger generation. You know, it has been a real difficult year for everybody. You know, and it's trying to move forward in the best way. But how are the youngsters going to do that? I mean, a lot of things have not happened because of COVID. There's lots of parents out of work and that. So, you know, how do they make ends meet?
I think we are focusing on one area here, and I'm not talking about one area. So I'm not talking about youngsters here. I'm talking about that COVID has taught me in the year of 2021 that I like my own company. It's the first thing it taught me. Before I did all this, I was a person that was out the house every night and I didn't want to be at home. And it's taught me to actually love my home. And what I'm talking about is that we become in everyday life very selfish when somebody invites us out for a meal, or do you want to go out for a drink, or do you want to come round and have a coffee with me? We always find that excuse. We always find an excuse to say, oh, I'm really sorry, I can't do it tonight. Where really everybody is thinking, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered to go around and see somebody and see my friend's house. I'd rather stay at home. And what I'm saying is, I think sometimes in the past years, we have just been selfish within our own bubble. So our own bubble of people that we live with and are at home with and all of that. And it's effort for us to venture out that bubble. Do you agree?
I don't. Not with my circle of friends, because I've relied on friends like you would do family. My family and friends are brilliant. And where I live at my mum's at the moment, but back home, just a couple of miles down the road, we've got a neighbour that they're both retired. They cut everybody's lawn, about 6 neighbours' lawns. They look after our dog, who's a big dog that can't be left in the day, so that she goes over the road for the day, every day. They do so much for everybody. And, you know, that is a community. You know, there's a street, practically a street, that benefits from their generosity, and it comes back to them in, you know, tenfold. And all my friends as well. I couldn't have done without my friends saying, yes, I'm coming for a coffee. Whether I like it or not, they come round to keep me company.
Whether I like it or not, they come round.
Yeah. Like they do, because it's for me, you know, and they suffer me and they fall asleep. Well, I fall asleep on them actually, but you know, I have a different experience altogether.
Do you think then, let's concentrate on our youngsters a bit, because all three of you want to talk about young people, but let's concentrate on our youngsters a bit with the second question. Do you worry about young people today when it comes to stories like this in the papers all the time? It's becoming more and more. Let's go to you first, Georgina. What do you think?
To me,
yeah.
Right. What do I think? I don't think people read the papers for starters. I don't think the youngsters are interested in the main news. It's only from my own experience. So I personally don't think it will affect them. No, they'll just carry on with their own way of life, like we have. A lot depends nowadays on, do you believe in what you read? That could be a great topic.
Well, the thing is, Georgina, I seem to be disagreeing with you a bit this evening, so I apologise. But I disagree again, because I think news is coming to youngsters in very different ways. So main headline news ends up on Facebook nowadays, ends up on TikTok, ends up on Instagram. Big stories that happen, like the Linconites share everything on Facebook, and youngsters these days are talking about, oh, have you heard about so and so, and have you heard about this? Because it is in social media these days. Okay, young people aren't picking up a newspaper. I don't think I've never picked up a newspaper in my life, apart from when I was a paper boy and handed them out. But I think news is coming in a different way. Come on, Claire, let's go over to you, because you've got young people. Tell us if they still hear everyday news.
Well, like you say, yeah, it's all on social media, isn't it? So they will pick it up. I just think for children in general, I think they just can't wait to get back to sort of normality, because both of my children do sports. I mean, yeah, Harry's disabled, but he plays wheelchair basketball, and he's really missed that. And I just think if these children can get some sort of normality back, it will be better for their mental health as well, to be able to do something, you know, because I bet crime's still been going about, even though we're not supposed to be going anywhere, and that's because they're bored. So I think once we get up and running, we hopefully it will be okay.
Claire, Rachel, do you think that because of what we hear in the news every day and stuff like that, because a person is born into a generation that they don't choose to be born in, that we are very critical and even judge a book by its cover before meeting a person, before getting to know them at all, before hearing their background? Do you think we're too judgmental?
Oh, yes. Well, it's human nature, I think, to judge somebody by the first look. You know, horrendous to think what they think of me tonight. No makeup on, so. But I think I do. I just think it's human nature, but it's not right, because you have to you have to give people a chance, don't you? Because otherwise, you know, it takes all walks of life. For somebody that you don't think you'd like. Taking one case in point, there was a friend of mine that's been a long-standing friend of mine for about 35 years now, and I couldn't stand her at school. I thought she was scary, frightening. awful. She went to the school that was opposite the other side of the road, and we were like, at loggerheads really. And I met her when we were 17 or 18, first started work, been my friend ever since. And so I really got her wrong. Yeah, so yeah, you don't judge book by cover.
Do you think, Georgina, that we are hard on that? See, this is the beauty about a topic, right? Because the thing is, I have 3 questions, and then there's 50 other questions that come into my head before moving on. So I'm never prepared for these questions. But that's the beauty of conversation, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Do you think that we can do that nowadays? Do you think that's a possibility, that actually older generation could be friends with younger generation?
Yes, without doubt. Well, it just depends on their attitudes. And
the older people's attitudes too. Depends on both attitudes.
All right. Some of my attitudes are fixed.
Yes. I agree with that. That's fine. I agree with that bit.
but that's part of life, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
And also that's part of you, Georgina. You wouldn't be the person you are if you didn't have your opinions and be set in your ways, would you? But that makes you the lovely person that you are.
Oh, thank you, so kind.
Oh, Claire, we're not bloody going down freedom of speech again. That was last week's show. I'm not going down that road again.
Okay.
I'm not doing it. What do you think we need to do to make a change in the year of 2021, especially when we come out of lockdown? So family, friends, going to see people. We've spent a whole year basically locked behind a door, unless you're on the Linc show, you get to meet people every week. But we've spent a whole year locked behind the door. Do you think it's going to be an effort? Do you think we're going to be just as anxious of coming out of lockdown as we have done coming in of lockdown? And do you think it's going to be a challenge to go and meet friends and family and to go and do stuff because we're so used to now staying at home?
Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be a bit scary, quite honestly. I think after the first lockdown and people zoomed out and then they get the second wave, I think we're going to be a little bit more cautious now. And I definitely will be. It's affected, this lockdown has affected me big time, and I won't be rushing out. I'll be very careful. I'll want to see people, but I'll be very careful and still adopt the same rules of washing and cleaning my hands and having no nails and
I thought you meant washing your clothes then, Rachel. I thought you were talking about
I do that. I've done that before as well. Come in from somebody's house and oh God, it could be on me. Just stop.
Oh.
So Claire, if of course you're not filming for Loose Links, do you think you'll be ready to step out and go out, or do you think you'll just be as anxious coming out of lockdown as you have been coming in?
I will be just as anxious. I mean, I have been going out, of course, because I've still been working because I'm in a school. But then that's literally it, though. We've been in our bubble, so I've come back, and I've just gone to supermarkets. My children have hardly gone anywhere. I mean, my daughter, she's now back at school, but my son's left school. So for me, I've got no rush to go anywhere. My friends will understand. I don't mind going to their houses and in the gardens, like the rule of 6 and things like that. As for going for a meal and things, I'm a bit like you, Nick. I've quite enjoyed my own company. It's been a lot harder, though, in like the first lockdown. It was in the summer, so that was just nice, just to spend it in your own garden, because me personally don't tend to just sit out there. So it's been lovely to it was then in the summer, but the winter time I don't like the winter anyway, because as I say, I am on my own with the children and I get that sad syndrome. But it's been quite nice. So I'm not going to be rushing out. As I say, we have got the rest of our lives to hopefully to do things and go places. So me personally, I'm going to be very cautious and just when I feel ready, and I know that is safe to do that, because you don't know.
It was really funny actually. I'm a bit of a TikToker. I like looking at TikToks and stuff like that. And she's been highly in the press, as you know, last couple of weeks. But she shared a video that really resonated with me. It's going off topic a little bit. I was scared of coming into lockdown because of being on my own. This is the truth of it, really. I was scared of it, and then I feel like you go through some really dark paths sometimes when you're on your own and you're in lockdown, and you start to think about ex-partners, and you start to go down that road. And Oprah Winfrey shared a video on her TikTok, which I've saved to my phone because I just thought it was incredible. And it said, "You can still hate somebody, but still love them very much. You can still wish for somebody to be laid next to you in your bed, but in the same respect, never let them over your doorstep again." And I just thought that was so true. So incredibly true. Like I've got to a point in my life now where I am over the last person I was with, but there are times where you sit at home and you think, oh, if he was only here now, and then the next day you wake up and you go, no, actually, no, I don't want that life again. So I think it makes you re-evaluate your life completely and what your new normal is going to be. But anyway, remember, you are the 5th panel member out there, so please let us know what you think of this. Do you think on all sides of generation, Georgina, that respect has gone out the window, or do you think it's based on our youngsters nowadays? Also, what are you preparing for as we head out into, as the day has finally started, as we start to head out into lockdown? We'll come back to that topic. I've got a few more questions to ask the panel about that at the end of the show. But have your say, polls will be up. Email us at looselinks@gmail.com. We are on Facebook. We also have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. We have a TikTok page. We have a Twitter page. We are looking into coming to signing up to LinkedIn, so we should be on that very, very soon. And our own website is being built as we speak, so more information will be all upon that. And because you're the biggest panel member here, Claire, I think you're going to be the wallpaper on the background. I hope you don't mind. Moving on to quite a touchy subject. So I'm not, again, because I don't think it's fair. So we're just going to say that this story has happened in Lincolnshire, just to keep safety of all parties, persecutor and victim, safe as we go through this story. Man asked boy 12 to come into the cemetery with him. A man allegedly asked a 12-year-old boy to come in with him, prompting police investigation. The man claimed to be friends with the boy's parents. The man did not touch him and he was unharmed, but left very shaken up. So panel, do you think when it comes to investigation, do you think it should stay out of the press? And do you stand by the saying, innocent before proven guilty?
Most certainly, yes. It would be totally wrong for that man's name to be in the press, to be known round about, because you're going to end up with getting vigilantes, and that person's life's not going to be worth living. And he's still innocent until he's proven to have done anything. Or trying to persuade a 12-year-old to go with him to a cemetery looks bad. I know it looks bloody awful, but he hasn't actually done anything. All right, he deserves, certainly, I feel he deserves a good telling off. He deserves possibly a mental assessment. But his name should not be out in the press.
But Georgina, sitting on the fence, I'm going to push it back a little bit. I'm only sitting on the fence. I don't really have a strong opinion on either side of this because I think it's too much to talk about. But sitting on the fence, we're okay to say that now, aren't we? We are all okay. We're 4 people here that's read the story that's gone, absolutely no way would this happen. I stand by the innocent before proven guilty. I stand all of that. But what if it was one of your nieces and nephews? Would you have a different opinion?
Okay, I probably wouldn't be one of the vigilantes, but you've got to look at it in the right perspective. I'll say this guy might be innocent. You can't go up to his front door, break all his windows, or it might be even Chinese whispers that started off, and they just expand and expand, and he's molested somebody and he hasn't done a thing. So yes, I'm certain he's innocent until proven guilty.
Come on, girls, let's hear what you've got to say.
Yeah, definitely innocent and until proven guilty. It just depends, when they do a background check on the guy,
Yes.
Has he had previous? So that's what you've got to think about. Has he had previous? Because then, again, this isn't the first time he's done it. But again, until he's been proven innocent or guilty, then definitely not for it to go into the papers. Again, like for vigilantes or, you're just getting more trouble then because you will yourself feel scared if you live in the area where this person does.
But Claire, I'm going to argue with you because
okay.
I'm used to arguing with you now.
Please do.
But the thing is, as I've just said,
yeah,
and I'm not saying at all for 1 minute that everybody should change their opinion right now, but you're not reading this story. This is your story. It's one of your children that has come home and said, at 12 years old, a man tried to guide me into the cemetery, claiming that he knew you, but I've never met him, Mum. Would you then be still sat on this fence, on this panel, going, yeah, it shouldn't be in the paper. Yeah, actually, no, it shouldn't sound bad. Or would you be a mum going, do you know what I mean? About to explode in every newspaper that'll come up to you because it's your child.
Yeah. Difficult, as I say. My daughter is actually 13, so... but yeah, she would have been shaken up. But yeah, it's a real difficult one because, like I say, I was just thinking it as a general, but as if it was my child, and they came home and said that somebody tried to, then it is a different ball game altogether. Really,
you know your own children, though, don't you? And you'd know if there was an inkling of truth in it. But the thing is, children, a 12-year-old in my day, if I was a 12-year-old, I wouldn't have known all the things that are going on. I wouldn't have been listening to the news. And so a lot of these children, not saying this child is making it up by any means at all, but they live in a different world these days. They live in a frightening, scary world. And when I was younger, I used to have a little passageway that went round to the shops. And I used to come round the corner sometimes. I used to meet this gentleman, an old gentleman that used to live opposite us. And he had long red hair and he used to run his fingers through my hair to see if there's any cuts if I brushed it in the morning. And he was a lovely old chap. Now, if that happened today, you'd think he was a bit strange, a bit weird. But he used to give me sweets. He used to give me sweets, run his fingers through my hair. But he was a lovely old chap. But there was no harm in him at all. He did nothing wrong. But it's a different ball game this day and age. Do you mind if I switch the light on as well? Because I'm going to be in darkness in a moment.
Yeah, please do. This is the problem as well, because I think this is what, and I don't want to go back onto the story, but I think this is what I was trying to get across last week when we were debating Meghan and Harry. We are all people looking into a story going, right, this is my opinion. This person shouldn't be this person shouldn't be that. we look into the Meghan and Harry story. Well, she's a liar. She's this. She's that. She's the other. She's 100% this. Well, actually, we can't be those people. We can't really. You can have your own judgment. That's fine. But what I really stand by is that actually, you cannot stand on a pedestal and say about anybody's family, this is the truth, because you don't know. Nobody knows apart from that person. And I think that's what I was trying so hard to get across last week, because if I bravely spoke, so let's go on this story. If I said to Meghan and Harry, oh, we're going to go back into the discussion of that. But if I bravely spoke out and said, this is what happened to me. Take the domestic abuse story that happened a couple of weeks ago, where I if I'm honest, I don't know about Robert, I can't speak for Robert, but for days afterwards, I struggled because it was going back into my past, back into an area that I sort of sorted out. I'm not saying I'm completely over it and it never affects me anymore, but it took me days of really working on myself to build up my confidence back up. Now, if somebody had wrote in and judged me, well, you're lying, you're saying this, you're doing that, I would never speak again. I would just never, ever speak again. And I think we're all head judge and jury when we look into stories. Let's take Meghan and Harry, when we look into that story, okay, we can have our opinion, but none of us actually know. And actually, where's sympathy? Where's love? Where's kindness these days? Because that doesn't seem to happen a lot in the year of 2021. We're all very, very judgmental on what should happen. Do you agree?
Well, should it be reported then before it's proved? Because it's just if you generalise something like that and put something in the papers and get people to make their own minds up and get people in a frenzy about it, that's not helping.
We don't know if it's the parents. We don't know if it was the parents. We don't have a clue who's told press. We do not have a clue who's spoken.
But the press have a responsibility then, don't they? And
they don't know, do they, Rachel? If we're honest, they don't.
Well, they don't. But that is my opinion. That these poor people that are victims get trawled through, because the victim as well, they get it all plastered on the paper as well, and they can't heal, can they? If it was proven that it was right, and the perpetrator, or if it was found that he wasn't a perpetrator of the crime, his life's ruined as well. So just for the sake of selling a few copies of paper, it makes me sick, quite honestly. I never buy paper.
Yeah.
I never watch the news either. I can't be doing with it. It's too depressing.
What do you think we need to do to make a change in the year? So I'm asking you now to be judgmental, even though I've told you not to be judgmental and be love and kind. But thinking love and kind, especially on the Cariflying Flack kind as well. Let's talk on that a little bit. What do you think we need to do to make a change in the year of 2021, especially as we are coming out of lockdown?
I think if we can all just be like what we have been. Be kind. I know we've not been out for a year, but people are helping people out, with shopping and things like that, and just be more polite. If you see a stranger in the street, say hello, or it's a bit difficult when you've got a mask on, so it is like nodding, isn't it? It's really difficult, because I think personally I am quite a nice person. Me personally. I
think you're a nice person, Claire.
I do too.
And I would, I would do anything for anybody, and strangers. So for me, I just need to, carry that on, and just carry on doing what I was doing. And, if everybody was just that act of kindness, there've been adverts where, people do things, and someone does something nice for you and you do something nice for somebody else. And I just think, know it's not going to work, but
I'd never ever do this on you, but I played a little trick there. Played a little trick and you didn't even pick it up. So we went into topic 2 and nobody really answered question 3 to topic 1. So I've just thrown question 3 out there and you've gave us a better answer.
Cheers.
Just play a little trick. So let's go on to question 2. It says in the interview with the police, man investigating the incident. I understand this may worry people. Does it worry you to even walk on the streets on your own, even in daylight?
No. No fears whatsoever. Why should we have? I trust in people. I'd do anything for anybody, and I feel it comes back.
Georgina, do you feel though that it lightens my heart when you said that? Because do you feel that's because, without going into too much detail, unless you want to go into it, but do you think that's because you've become that person because of everything you have gone through as a person? Do you think that actually nobody's going to step all over me anymore? I'm not going to be afraid of anybody.
Oh, I've been through more than most, but I'd like to say no. I generally I'm a shy person, but I've had to put myself out there. And nobody worries me. I have no fears, and I don't see why anybody else should. I really don't. I live in a small town. I live in Grantham, and as far as trouble goes, from what I can see, it's relatively quiet. All right, I do have a little fear. During the winter, I went down to London to see a show and got back at 12:15. My taxi didn't show up, and I had to walk all the way from the railway station up to Barby Gate. Got up Dysart Road, the lights were still on. Then I had to walk the next half a mile in complete darkness. I wasn't happy about that, but generally speaking, during the day, I've got no fears whatsoever.
What about you, Rachel? Do you fear walking down the streets even in the daylight?
No, well, I can't walk for one thing. So, but being outside doesn't in the daylight. It's a totally different kettle of fish, though, isn't it? You know, as soon as it gets dark, you think anything's out there. You can think anything's out there. And my mum's house, she's got loads of trees, and they're always blowing. And you put the dog out at night, and you think, you know, you never know. I've got security lights everywhere, but it's different when it's dark to when it's light. You think everything's all well with the world when it's sun shining. It's completely different. You leave the door open. In the middle of winter, you wouldn't, apart from being cold, you wouldn't leave your door open, would you?
But Claire, do you think we're taught that as children? Do you think at a very young age we're told about the boogeyman and nighttime and not going out? Do you think that that's ingrained in us even as early as childhood?
Well, it was for me. I mean, I don't mind going out in the daylight. I'm a bit more cautious in the evening because you just don't know. You know, I mean, you've always got something personal on you, like a lot of people have mobile phones. So, but I'm pleased that my children don't go out as much. But for my daughter, I would worry about her in the daylight as well as at night. Because again, she's only 13, but you just don't know, you know, anything could happen any time. But that's just probably a parent's worry.
But you can't mollycoddle your children all the time.
No, definitely not. And she won't let me. I mean, gosh, I'm quite quiet as well, you know, Georgina. You wouldn't think so, but
really,
I am.
I haven't picked that up at all.
I am. It's only this loose links that has brought out a different side. But my daughter is opposite to me. She's a feisty one. But I would worry about her being out in the daylight. Like I say, I take her to school, but she does walk back, which is not far, but still, it's not nice.
No, exactly. Do you, if you had to worry about anything, you might see that is wrong or something wrong to you, do you trust our police services nowadays?
I do. I've with looking after my mum here over the last 2.5 years, and having certain conditions that keep me awake. I've been watching out the window. I just sit there looking out the window. It's strange what you see foxes, you see all animals, and you also see people doing what they shouldn't be doing. And as soon as I phoned the police about these two chaps that were all walking very, very slowly, it was middle of lockdown right at the beginning, and they shouldn't have been out at 2 a.m, and they had black hoods up, walking no purpose in their stride. I phoned the police, and they were there within a few minutes, and they zoomed down the road, stopped all of a sudden, and I said, I was on the phone again, I said, oh, they've missed them, they've gone over the road now. So they all went round the road, they lit every house up, but they were there in an instant, and that made me feel quite safe. You know, they were there, the whole car full of them, and I think they got them, but they were up to no good. And I'd definitely, you know, have no qualms about telling the police about any problem and getting it sorted.
What about you, Claire?
Do you watch Line of Duty?
I love Line of Duty.
Yeah, well, that's corruption. But, you know, I think you're going to get corruption in any place where you go. But, yeah, personally, I trust the police. I had a knock on the door, and I had this man standing there, didn't know him, and he went, "You're in my house." And I went, "What?" He went, "You're in my house." I went, "Where?" Anyway, he was, he'd escaped from somewhere, a mental home. Why he chose mine, I live in a Rower Terrace, and he came to me, I have no idea. But he then went round the back and sat in my garden. So I had to call the police because, again, I was on my own with the children and I didn't like that. And they were lovely. They came and they got him, and they said, like, yes, he has been missing. But why me? What? Why come and find me? So, yeah, I haven't had lots of dealings. We have got some nutters across the road. Yeah, we call the police out to those if need be, and they come. So, yeah, I personally trust them.
Can I just say before I come over to Georgina, Steve Arnold can arrest me any day. He can absolutely arrest me any day. Georgina, do you have faith and trust in the police nowadays?
There aren't enough of them, that's for starters. My only dealings with them was we went on holiday and we flew from Gatwick and we left our car in a place, and we were told it was going to be safe. Left the keys on the premises, and when we came back, the car had been moved, and somebody had been in it, and we unfortunately left a receipt in it. And we got home and found out that somebody used our visa details and bought some electrical equipment from Comet. Now, this silly person had given his name and address because they had it delivered. So we found out where he bought it from. We found out where he lived, and we told the police all the details. And it took them a fortnight to get round to see him. So this PlayStation he'd sold on, so got no proof. So yeah, I wish there were more. If there were more police, I feel it would be better. But there again, if you don't commit a crime, why do you need the police? But I said that was my only case with them.
I've had a similar incident. Exactly the same as that, Georgina, actually. I don't want to talk about it very much because I like we get it in the year of 2012. I was a married man. And we went to Egypt for a honeymoon. And I don't know why now. It might be because the abuse had started and I was a bit nervous of going to the other side of the world, and it was just going to be me and him, and it was disaster. I won't go into it, but it was disaster. So I was really uptight, like, and he was one of these people, and I don't know if you're one of these people, and I'm not going to like you if you are, but if you go to an airport, he was one of these people that it's not the guy that you know, Georgina, by the way, but he was one of these people that would for a 2 p.m. flight would have to be there at 8 a.m. And I hate that. I hate it. Why sit around an airport for hours and hours when I just hate it? And we had to be there for like 6 a.m. It was absolutely ridiculous. So I was bombing around the house. Got this, got the other, and we went off and we took on this car thing. And I'm a singer. So I'd stuck some CDs in the car and was playing these CDs and having to sing along on the way there, much to his disappointment. And we got back to the car and all the CDs are gone. Every CD that I had left in the car was gone. And we claimed it and there was nothing back. So I don't trust airports either, but that's a whole different topic there. So yeah. Tell us what you guys think. Do you trust the police in the year of 2021? Are you a person that stands by innocent before proven guilty? Let us know. Share on our polls, our Insta, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Gmail. Everything possible is available to you because you are the fifth panel member. So we finish on a light topic, guys. We finish on a light topic. So the light topic is, so it's been marked as now we have been in lockdown for a whole year this month. 365 days we've been in lockdown for a whole year this month, as lights and everywhere is remarked and celebrated for surviving a year being in lockdown. I don't know if there's been lights in London and Birmingham. There's been stuff been everywhere, lit up. The cathedral was lit up in Lincoln to celebrate it. But do you feel you are a very different person to the person you were? Has lockdown changed you?
Yes, most definitely.
How's it changed?
Well, when I went into lockdown, I went in with a friend. My friend came to live with me because she was having chemo, and her husband was a paramedic, so she couldn't keep going home. So she stayed with me. So it was fun the first lockdown. Then she went home 6 months later, and I stayed here with my mum. And then I lost my mum in January. So me and now I live here on my own. So I haven't gone back home yet to my marital home. So it's changed me in as much as I do like my own company, and it's made me appreciate life a lot better because also I have Parkinson's and before I went into lockdown. Pardon?
Do you have Parkinson's?
Yeah, I have Parkinson's and I have Crohn's and I had thyroid cancer and I've had loads of things, but I've kept fit and I've done no end of sport all my life. But then I came into lockdown and didn't do things like just going into the shops, walking around, doing a bit of gardening, because I was looking after my mum. So it's made me feel the effects of all that now. So now I wobble like a jelly baby now. So it's a case of now we're coming out of it. It's given me a sense of purpose now to start getting myself back on track to living, because you don't appreciate it until it's just been taken away from you, because everything's been so delicate, and it's but I appreciate life and I appreciate what I can do. So I'm going to grab every bit of life I can possibly get when I come out of this lot.
Oh, thank you.
Well done.
Georgina, do you think lockdown has changed you?
No, me is me. But I have missed I've missed anything from. I've missed singing. We have a U3A sing-along choir, and that's still going on Zoom. But I'll be pleased when we can all get back together again. I was singing out Messingham once a week there, and thoroughly enjoyed that. And I can't wait until that starts up again. But Zoom has been my saviour. It's I've done so much on it. I'm strongly involved with spiritualism and all aspects of it. So I've done an awful lot on that. And the best thing of the lot has been I've done my first astral projection traveling. It's fantastic. It is really. And I've got to carry that on. But I after being on my own for 5 years, I'm used to being on my own, because at one stage I hated going out and I hated coming home. Now I'm happy with myself here. But like yourself, there are lonely times. With me, there are some.
Claire, has lockdown changed you?
No, apart from a little bigger than when I went into it, because of course it's just been a little nice food and a little drink and that. So yes, I do need to get out more. But what for me, because of course 2 children who do sports, I need to slow down, because I would come in from work, drop the bags, get one child, come back, and another, and you know, I know you do that for your children, but like this year when my daughter does dancing online, so she's been Zooming online. You know, the only bad thing is there, she kicks me out the room. But no, it's just been, yeah. And like I could say, I have been on my own a long time. And although I've got the children, they're teenagers now, so they're in their rooms. So yeah, a bit lonely.
I feel like we're writing the dating profile.
Hey!
I feel like that's what we're doing tonight. We're just writing the dating profile.
Yes, my name is Claire. I'm on my own. I have 2 children.
I've been married. I've done this. Well, I've got Crohn's and been through this, Georgina. I've been on my own 5 years.
I don't think I'd get anybody with that.
We're all just writing on this dating profile. Maybe our next platform should be Tinder.
Oh.
No.
A last question. Will your normal be a very new normal? What's going to be different in your life when you get back to some sort of normal? Let's go to you first, Rachel.
Me, some sort of normal? I've never been normal. Well, and I hope we don't go out to normal, because I've discovered pink gin. I love the stuff, and but it's a bit of a slippery slope on your own, isn't it? So, and I couldn't smuggle anybody in, so I liked it too much. I wasn't going to part with my gin. So, no, I've never really been normal. I've just treated every day differently, and no, I don't think I'm not going to. I like who I am at the minute, and yeah, I can't really explain that any better than that, because I am who I am. Oh, there's a song there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yes,
we've got 2 singers, so come on.
What's your new normal?
Me, sorry, I must be going deaf. My new normal, besides meeting up with the circles instead of being on Zoom, there won't be much difference. If I want to go out now, I go out now. I have disobeyed the rules on a couple of occasions.
Oh, don't be admitting this on camera.
Oh,
and no, I don't care. Being a single person, what can you do about it? It's you either have some kind of life or you don't. And
can I just say, and I'm not going against Georgina, Linc does not stand by breaking the rules. Can I say that now? that we are people that are saying listen to the golden rules. Claire, what's your new normal?
Well, I've been quite lucky that I've still been working, so I've managed to still see adults as well as children. So I don't think a lot will change. It would just be nice, to eventually meet up with friends. But for me to go anywhere, I've got to lose a bit of weight first because all my clothes don't fit me. So I can't go out anyway because nothing fits. So I think I need to get a new me. Will be a new fitness regime.
Well, can I thank my panel for this evening? Me on Grindr, Nicholas James, Claire Browning May on Tinder, Rachel Feddy on Plenty of Fish, and Georgina Croshaw on Baboo. So just make sure you do your research. That's all I'm saying this week. It's been an incredible show, a bit less feisty. I've sort of tamed Claire a bit. I've sort of gave her a bit of the talking to this week. So
I want her autograph.
Hey!
Yeah, you want? Oh, okay. I'll make sure that happens, Nicholas James. Join us next week, where there's a lot more fun, prank tips, and topics maybe round the corner from you. Alongside me this week, Nicholas James, was Claire Browning May.
Bye.
Rachel Penny.
Bye.
And Georgina Croshaw. Join us next week. Same time, same place, and we're ready to maybe talk about topics just round the corner from you. Good night, God bless, and here goes Tinder. See you next week!